Hello, I'm Deb Calvert, and I am delighted to be here with you today. We're going to be talking about one of my personal favorite subjects, which is unleashing the potential, your potential, the potentials of others around you, potential, because it matters so much in the day-to-day. For those of you who aren't familiar with me or with this channel, let me tell you just a little bit about it. We post once or twice a month new content that is designed to help managers and people in HR and really leaders at any level, anyone who's looking to develop or to help others develop, topics that are of interest because we hear from our viewers about what they'd like to see. And we try to bring you content that will help you to become more effective, both personally and professionally, in accomplishing whatever it is that you might like to accomplish. Now, since I also wanted to talk to anybody who's new to Bright Talk, let me say that there are some important features here that you're going to really like, I think. For starters, there are attachments, and you'll see right underneath me in the video here, there's something called attachments. If you'll click there, there are all kinds of goodies that I've loaded up for you, including a copy of the slides that I'll be reviewing today. I know some folks like to grab those and be able to print them and take notes on them, whatever you need to do, help yourself. And then I've given you some other resources along the way that will expand on the topics that we'll be covering. I really, really enjoy interacting with the folks who are joining me, the ones who are here live. So please, at any point during the presentation, go ahead and post your questions. I'll try to answer them while we're still topical, but I'll also leave room at the end for any questions I did not get to. And then for everybody who's listening on demand, well, don't worry. It's an open invitation. I would like to answer your questions as well. We just won't be able to do it here live. So email me or connect with me on LinkedIn. I gave you attachments for all of that as well. And just let me know what it is you'd like to hear more about, or if you've got a unique situation that doesn't quite get covered by the content here, then we'll tackle that. So let's get on to our big topic of the day. It is all about potential and unleashing hidden. This is such an important topic because I believe there's a lot that isn't utilized. In other words, from ourselves and from others, there's so much more that's possible, not just the actual that we're already experiencing, but so much more that we all could be achieving if we stretched, if we were really reaching toward and unlocking those capabilities of what we could become. Potential is the difference between where we are right now, and that may be awesome. Where you are right now, where others are, may be awesome. But potential is the difference between that place and where we could be. And I fundamentally believe that there's potential in every single person, no matter how much experience, education, natural capabilities they have, no matter how much they've already done. I believe there's even more potential. And no matter how new or inexperienced or seemingly deficit in certain characteristics or skills a person might be, well, I think there's potential there too. But it's all about mining for it, recognizing it, and building it. The root word of potential, by the way, and you know me, I'm a word nerd. I like to look at the word meanings from many different angles. But the root word of potential is potent, which of course means powerful or mighty. So we all have this within us, potential. We have something powerful, something mighty, and good managers, good leaders, good colleagues, good friends, good people. They look for the potential in others. Let me give you another word that I really like. It happens to be my favorite word of all. You might not have heard it before. It's unfortunately not used in the day-to-day. And that word is entelechy. Entelechy means that you are taking a reality and you're doing something beyond that reality. You're bringing it, you're actualizing it, you're turning it into something more. You're stretching towards the possibilities, the potential. Entelechy is striving for something closer to perfection. So it's activating, it's unleashing someone's true potential. A little bit like finding hidden treasure. It's really not buried as deep as you might think. Often it's hidden just beneath the surface. But, maybe it requires someone to look a little closer or to dig a little deeper, something to help you discover or rediscover that potential and breathe life back into it. Now, let me go corporate here for just a moment, especially for those of you who come from human resources or who participate in review processes. What I'm showing you is something called a 9-box model, and there are many variations of this. This is used for talent review and succession management. From a company's point of view, this is a way that you categorize people, and it's a necessary process because once you categorize people, then they identify who to invest in and give developmental support to. And so they're looking for a way to compare people across all departments by slotting them into one of these boxes. Now, as you can see from the axes there on the left-hand side, you have the vertical axes. That's all about a person's potential. And somehow, managers and others who participate in this process are meant to determine whether a person has high, medium, or low potential. The other axis, the horizontal one, is all about performance, a little easier to quantify in their current role. Are they performing at a high level, mid-level, or low level? And you put these two pieces together and come up with one of 9 different titles, I suppose, different slots that you put people into. Those boxes that you see in green in the upper right, well, people in those green boxes, they're considered to be the organization's future bench strength, right? These are the people who are more likely to get bigger raises and more recognition as companies work harder to retain them and invest more in the development of these folks. Most companies, in fact, that use this sort of model, they allocate a significantly higher percentage of their training and development budgets to people in this group. Now, the majority of people, the majority of employees are found in the yellow boxes, right? These are people who are viewed as steady or high performers in their current roles, but they're not very likely to contribute more in the future. There might be some little hint of potential despite their current struggles to perform. But typically, people in these boxes feel like they're in a holding pattern. And maybe they feel that way because that's where the company views them. They sort of put them in this holding pattern. People in these boxes often don't understand why they're not considered for development opportunities, or why they're not eligible for higher raises or more recognition. And then the people in those orangish, reddish boxes, well, they're on the brink. They might even be on performance plans. They may feel they're not given the time or the support needed to overcome any challenges that they're experiencing. They get moved to the back of the line when it comes to opportunities, pay increases, recognition. And once in one of these 3 boxes, it's really hard to change perception. It's really hard to move up into a yellow box. And that past perception inside an organization, it lasts a very long time, making it extremely difficult to ever get to green. Now, here's my issue with the entire process. It's not fair. It's not objective. And this process seems to completely overlook the fact that circumstances and people change over time. And the main place I get hung up in all of this is the word potential. and others I've talked to agree, how can anyone at all, ever fully, fairly, and objectively assess the potential of someone else? Now, let's just take a look at the dictionary definition of potential, because that expresses how vague and how conceptual potential is. Potential is possible as opposed to actual. It's capable of being or becoming. It's a latent excellence that may not have been developed. And it's someone or something that's considered a worthwhile possibility. So making a judgment about somebody else's potential, even our own potential, is inherently subjective. We're talking about something that's latent, not actual. So how can anyone absolutely determine another person's potential? And not only that, I fundamentally believe, and I don't think you can prove me wrong, I fundamentally believe that every single person has potential. In fact, I believe that every single person has untapped potential, potential that they themselves may not even realize they have within them. So saying that someone has low potential, well, that's not fair. It's not right. And it's limiting to that individual. It's limiting to an organization. And I believe, despite the perhaps niceties or conveniences of using something like this 9-box model, I fundamentally believe that it's just not the right thing to do. Not if you're looking to really get to people's potential and to give people opportunities. So I tell you all that because that's where I'm entering into our conversation here. Because I believe that everyone has potential, I think this topic of how do you unleash that potential is a very important one. Well, let's start with you, though. How do you unleash your own potential? I'll take these strategies one by one, but I believe it starts with first acknowledging that there's more to you than you are right now in this moment. There's more to you than in those moments when you're not feeling confident or courageous. There's more to you than the constraints of any job or 9-box model or task list that you're constrained by. So to unleash your own potential first involves accepting that you have potential. Now, do I mean that every person has potential for everything? Absolutely not. I'm not delusional. I don't believe, even though I love swimming, I don't believe that I'm ever going to have enough potential at this stage in my life to become an Olympic gold medalist. But I do believe I could become a stronger swimmer. I could become a faster swimmer. I could do better in terms of form and all the other variables that go into making a good swimmer. And believing that, well, that is what would lead me to then set small incremental goals and be able to focus on those pieces that I can control to unlock as much potential as there is there. So this is not about being unrealistic. This is about, though, finding the things that matter to you and then going for that discovery of how much potential is there. First on the list is this piece about refuting your own self-limiting beliefs. To put it simply, self-limiting beliefs, those are assumptions or perceptions that you've got about yourself and about the way the world works around you. And I say that many of these assumptions are self-limiting because in some way they're holding you back from achieving whatever it is that you are capable of. Tackling self-limiting beliefs is not easy because they start early in life. And once those beliefs are formed, well, they're pretty resistant to change. Well, we're pretty resistant to changing them, might be a better way of saying that. But remember, beliefs are not facts. They may or may not be true. They may or may not be helpful, but beliefs still dictate the way we behave in life. If we believe we're not good enough, we won't put ourselves forward for a job promotion. And then seeing someone else get promoted ahead of us, that reinforces that same belief. That's why these are so self-limiting. They limit our horizons. They hold us back from doing things that we want to do and might be capable of doing. Now, beliefs are formed by experiences, and those beliefs, they are what cause us to choose the actions that we do or don't take. Some additional self-limiting kinds of beliefs, well, they're listed on screen for you there. And if you want to address any thoughts that you might have like that, here's the prescription. First, this is personal work. First, do some blame and shame free analysis. Get past the blame and the shame. Do the analysis without any of those self-indicting kinds of thoughts. Look for any of the self-limiting beliefs that shape your own inner dialogue and influence your decisions. Call them out for what they are so that you can then do the rest of the diagnostic work, because step 2 is to hop in the time machine. Try to go back to experiences. Why do you believe what you believe? What proof do you have that those beliefs are true? And what evidence is there to the contrary? Look for cause and effect. What experience shaped those beliefs that you have? And now, how do those beliefs influence your actions and cause you to get or not get the results you'd really like to be getting? And then once you know the origin and the purpose of those self-limiting beliefs, now it's time to refute them and to challenge them and to question them, to test them, because maybe that belief is no longer valid. Maybe that belief no longer serves you well. And then you can discard them by giving yourself new experiences and reinforcement for your effort and inspiration for continuing to work on reshaping your own new beliefs. Now, I'm going to give you an example. I'm going way back on this one. I believed for a long time that I was terrible at math and not analytical. And when I stripped it all back, I could remember in 6th grade, my teacher, Mr. Reed, I can remember him at the blackboard really criticizing me. He was harsh, and he'd make me stay after school, and it was embarrassing. And he would tell me he wasn't going to recommend me in middle school for the pre-algebra class, which was where all the smart kids got to go. Now, I just adopted the belief that I was terrible in math and that I would never be good at math. So much so that I chose a major in college that required math or science because I was petrified by the idea of taking any math course ever again. Now, flash forward in my career, I found myself in a director of operations job with lots of numbers and analysis and spreadsheets. And I was like falling apart each month at the month-end data compilation and the analysis, and I'd have to present those findings and to senior management and defend them. And this was so upsetting to me that I had only been in the job 5 months before I asked for a reassignment. I was there, 6 months in, ready to quit. And in month 7, still haven't not been given the new job. The CEO said to me, "Deb, you bring such interesting new perspectives. You're doing such a good job finding the story inside the numbers. We've needed this for a long time." So I had to have that conversation with myself to challenge my self-limiting belief. I realized I wasn't doing things wrong. My analysis didn't have inaccuracies in it. I wasn't drawing faulty conclusions. I was able to do it on time. I hadn't experienced any of those embarrassments that I was so afraid were going to take me back to those times at the blackboard in 6th grade. And that was a game changer. And it's the sort of thing that I suspect a lot more people could experience if they weren't limited by things like these 9-box models. It's not just companies that put us into boxes. We do this to ourselves all the time. We constantly are thinking about our potential, our interest, our abilities, our performance, and we are self-selecting which one of these boxes we put ourselves into far more often than we might realize. So we want to be sure that we can avoid doing that and start to have new experiences that shape new beliefs. Step 2 in being able to work on unleashing your own potential is to get acquainted with yourself. Go ahead and take some time to do an assessment. I've given you a few ideas of assessments here on screen. Maybe you've heard of some of these, maybe not. If you want information about any of them, just let me know. But if you feel like you're not a people person, maybe you should get a little more insight into why you believe that and what's really going on. So something like the Myers-Briggs MBTI or an EQ, emotional intelligence assessment, something like that might help you find out what it is that causes you to feel that way. And by using something like StrengthsFinder, maybe you begin to understand your own sparks and your own abilities and your own natural inclinations, because whatever they are, they can help you magnify and build on any areas of gap that you see within yourself. And as you're getting acquainted with yourself and using tools like these, you can become a little more objective too, because you'll begin to understand why other people recognize certain aspects of you. You'll realize maybe it's not so much about you, but about the things that they value because they're coming from a different place. They've got different strengths, and that's what they recognize. They've got different personalities, and so those are the kinds of things that they appreciate. You can become more objective when you have some understanding about yourself and about others. And with all of this, now you can start setting some goals for self-development, for unleashing your potential. See, many of the things we fail because they're just too big. You want to lose 20 pounds? How about you start with 2? I want to lose 2 pounds. And when you've lost 2 pounds, sure, you might still want to lose 18, but that's a big number. How about I did that once before, maybe I can do that again. Let me lose 2 pounds. See, the small wins, they add up to the big wins. And along the way, if we have these big gaps between goal setting and goal realization, we're missing out on the celebrations and the encouragements and the recognition of our efforts along the way. You've probably heard the phrase, success breeds success. It's true. But we have to give success a chance. We have to enjoy the success and use it to boost our confidence so that we can proceed, because that confidence can help us to do that. Now, just let me address something else that sometimes people ask me about, and that is this a little self-indulgent? To think about myself in this way, to spend all this time on myself, to really be thinking of myself in a way that may not feel like it has a lot of humility built into it if I'm saying I have unrealized potential. And the answer is no. It's not self-indulgent. I'm sure it could become that if you were overboard with it. But most of us, we err on the other side, the opposite end. We've got room here to be able to do this without becoming self-indulgent. And in fact, it's healthy. It's healthy for you to focus on realizing your own potential because it's there. You've got it. And if you want to be better for others, you have to be a better version of yourself. But not only that, if we want to help others develop and grow, well, in that case, we also have to model that for them. We have to show them what it looks like. And you'll experience all the benefits and give them opportunities to experience their benefits too, if they're seeing this example. I am talking, in Dr. Carol Dweck's language, I am talking about having a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. You see, a fixed mindset, well, In Dr. Dweck's research, a fixed mindset, that's when somebody sort of enters into anything they do with the idea that this is all I can do. A fixed mindset is not about potential. It's about, this is what I know now. That's all I'll ever know. I was born with a certain IQ, and I've got all that I'm ever going to have. A growth mindset is a potential-based mindset because it says there's always room to grow. It says if I am willing to work, if I'm willing to learn along the way, if I'm willing to take some risks for the sake of learning, well, then the possibilities are limitless. I, throughout my entire life, can continually grow in many, many different ways. If you've never really done any work with mindset, I strongly recommend this book. It's called Mindset. It's a short little read. Or you can go online. There's a free quiz that will help you identify for yourself whether you have a fixed or a growth mindset. And it'll even give you some pointers about the things you can do to adopt more often a growth mindset. All right, now let's talk about this whole idea of being a lifelong learner, because some probably cringe at just the idea. Learning, I gave that up when I left school. But in this busy, hurry up, ever-changing world that we live in, learning is survival. We have had to become more nimble, more agile. We've got to react to new things every day. And I don't see a lot of likelihood that that's going to change anytime in the near future. So to be able to have this growth mindset means that you'll be able to be a lifelong learner. And it also means that you're going to be a little kinder to yourself. You're not going to measure or make decisions based on, will I fail or will I succeed? Instead, you're going to see failure as the opportunity to succeed. Every time you fail, it gets you a little closer to success because there's learning in every single step that you take. And that matters when it comes to considering potential. Two more little things that you'll want to do as you're unleashing your own potential. Check yourself. You've set those goals and you want to be consistent and have integrity so that things are matching up. You need alignment. If you set a goal, you'll have to make sure that your actions are in alignment with that goal. And you'll need to give yourself time. You've got the goal, but you probably also have some habits that get in your way of reaching that goal. So you're building these habits. It's not an overnight change. You're building the habits and celebrating the successes and having those small wins along the way. Give yourself 15 to 30 days. That's what science tells us it takes to form a new habit. And as those new habits form, you're going to be better equipped for reaching your goal. And with all of this, you'll focus on what you can control. The things that you can control are the places that you should dedicate your time and energy and effort. Keep in mind, you can control more than you might think. You're checking those self-limiting beliefs. And if you can't control it, figure out if you can influence it so that someday, with new habits, perhaps you will have a higher measure of control. But the main point here is to get outside that biggest circle on the outside. That you may have concerns there, but these are things you cannot control and cannot influence. So don't beat yourself up over those. Don't bemoan them. Don't spend a lot of time and attention there, because what's the point? If you can't control it and you can't influence it, then move on. Move into the things where you do have that power. Now, that's how you unleash your own potential. But enough about you. We're going to switch to others. Let me just say this. If anything I've said here sounds like something you'd like to be working on, but you're just not quite sure how to go about doing it, what I want to recommend to you is that you consider hiring a coach. I do coaching. I'm a certified coach from the International Coaching Federation, and you'll want somebody who is certified to be a good coach. But I do executive coaching and coaching for teams, and you might be looking for a personal coach or a career coach. There are different people with different sorts of specialties. But open yourself up to the possibility that coaching might be something that could help you. I've given you in the attachments a little resource that will help you know if coaching is a good solution for you, if coaching is right for you. Now let's talk about other people. So no matter what sort of job you have, this is something you can do for others. It doesn't require authority. It doesn't require any sort of positional power. There are things on this list that are available to anyone at any level, up, down, sideways, all around the organization. You pick the ones that are right for you in relation to whomever it is that you want to draw some additional potential from. And yes, everything I'm saying here applies in your personal life and personal relationships, as well as in the workplace, but we'll keep our focus in the workplace. So these are the strategies. There's probably nothing on this list that you haven't heard of or thought of before, but let me go ahead and put it into the construct of unleashing people's potential. First of all is mentoring. Mentoring helps both the mentor and the mentee to develop their capacity. I really believe it's true that sometimes when people teach something they know, it expands and solidifies their own understanding. And it causes them to have additional confidence and even curiosity so that they go out and continue learning more. They're developing their expertise. So setting people up together, whether you are a mentor or a mentee, you're going to benefit someone else. Pairing people together, it's a 2-for-1 deal. You're going to help 2 people develop their potential. Organizational strength is enhanced when mentors, that the people in your organization who have a high degree of functional knowledge or experience, right, that helps the organization when they share that and when they shore it up for themselves. Now, mentoring has another benefit to organizations, and that is that it retains talent inside your organization. See, people want to know that companies care enough about them to help them develop. They want to know that you recognize and take an interest in their potential and that you're willing to help them get resources that will unlock and identify that potential. Mentoring doesn't cost a dime. When you pair people up inside the organization, when you have mentoring as a day-to-day, regular, routine part of the culture, well, then you're giving leadership development to people at every single level, and you are cross-pollinating ideas all throughout the organization, especially if you make that mentoring cross-functional, and you're helping people to feel valued. You're unleashing that potential at the very same time that you're unleashing a lot of other benefits. Coaching is similar. It's not the same as mentoring. Coaching is similar because both coaching and mentoring focus first and foremost on the development of people. What's different about coaching is that a person can be a coach without having a superior level of functional or technical knowledge. See, mentors show and they tell people how to do things. Coaches don't do that. Coaches ask. Coaches extract what's already known, and they ask other questions to help people think about what they already know and apply it in new and different ways. Coaches facilitate self-discovery and goal setting. So when you're coaching for development, not doing like performance coaching where somebody's got a performance plan and they need someone to monitor them, that's not what I'm talking about at all. With true coaching, you will accelerate the self-discovery and the confidence that people have around their own potential. And when this becomes a part of your cultural norms, well, it's contagious. You'll start to see people doing it up, down, and around the organization, including coaching themselves. One of the best things about coaching is that it does challenge those self-limiting beliefs. And by challenging them, it creates new experiences and forces reflection on evidence to the contrary and gets people out of those ruts that they might be in. Now let's talk about stretch assignments. Another freebie. Something else you can do inside your organization that doesn't have to cost a penny. And that is, no matter what job someone's in, to think about how you can help them gain a little bit more experience in something else. What you're looking at here, this is the flow zone. It's from Dr. Csikszentmihalyi at the University of Chicago. I think in day-to-day parlance, it gets known as something called the flow zone. The flow zone is different because it's more often in athletics, it's not really analyzed in the workplace, but the premise is very similar. Let me put that back up on screen for you. When people are in the flow, as you know, what that means is that they are at their very best. It's their peak performance. They are hyper-focused, they are performing at their very best, and they are oblivious to everything else around them. And the way people get there, as you can see on this schematic, it's when their level of skill is just a little bit greater than their current level of challenge. I said that backwards. It's when their level of challenge is just a little bit greater than their current level of skill. They're being stretched. Now, what's happening too often in the workplace is what I said incorrectly at first. When someone's skill level is much greater than their challenge level, that's over here in the right bottom side of the schematic. That's called the drone zone. It's boring. You could do that work all day, every day, eyes closed, hands tied behind your back, sleepwalking, and it's not challenging. It's not stimulating. There's no stretch. You're not in the zone. In fact, it's where a lot of burnout and low engagement occurs. Opposite of that, upper left-hand corner, sometimes people get put here too. It's called the panic zone. That's when the level of challenge is too much greater than the level of skill. So we're going for a balance. We want that challenge to be just a little bit greater than the current skill level. And you can do that by helping people to serve on a task force, or to step into a rotational assignment, or to fill in for perhaps some of your jobs, or for you to delegate something to them. There's all kinds of ways you can stretch people, including giving them some opportunities to do project work, to do something where they can collaborate cross-functionally, where they can now begin to think bigger picture, and they develop business acumen, and they begin to know people in other areas of your organization, and they can start connecting some dots. And this helps them get outside the silo and outside any self-limiting beliefs they might have. You can do the same by delegating, but not just delegating where you start assigning all of the work you don't really want to do. I'm talking about delegating with the specific purpose of developing people. And you would ask questions like the ones you see on screen, if that's what you wanted to make happen. You'd think about, okay, not just I don't like doing this task, it's busy work, I'll give it to someone else. It would be, with this task, who might have a fresh perspective, some new ideas, some hidden potential? They'd benefit from learning how to do this. Maybe they'd need to do it if I wasn't here. They have some interest that they've expressed. And you delegate well, but you delegate with this different point of view. There is, by the way, on this channel, an entire different webinar dedicated to the topic of delegating for development. There's also one about coaching for development. I think there's a few other topics we've skimmed over here where you'll find a lot more. I hope you'll take a look at the People First Productivity Solutions channel here on Bright Talk to get some additional info about all these topics. Now, just like you have to challenge your own self-limiting beliefs, it's also helpful if you'll open others up and get them thinking about ways they can do this for themselves too. Whatever you do, don't accept any self-limiting beliefs that people might express. You see, they might say, oh, I'm no good at that. And you might say, why do you think that? Or they might say, you know, I'm not comfortable with that. My strengths are different. And you might say, how could you apply your strengths in learning and expanding in this area? And when they clearly are panic and they have that panic zone thing going on, you help them to dial it back. Well, which part of this could you do? Let's make it just a small stretch. Let's get those small wins and let's build some confidence along the way. What I'm describing might also be called encouragement. Encouragement matters. Encouragement means pouring courage into someone. And when people need encouragement, it's not at the end when the goal has already been reached. It's when the struggle is real. It's when it feels like an overwhelming or a lengthy or a big stretch of something to do. So encouraging means recognizing the effort. It means telling people you believe in them. It means celebrating those small wins so that they're feeling buoyed and can let the success breed success to get another small win. As you're doing this, you're ennobling people. Maybe another new word. It means to make someone feel worthy or important. Ennoblement is every bit as important as enablement, meaning that you give people the budget, the resources, the time to do what you're asking them to do, including learning whatever is required. And when you do this, when you encourage and ennoble and enable people, you're expanding their confidence and ultimately their capacity. You are, at that point, unleashing their potential. You're helping them to be everything that they could be. And if not everything, at least more than they would be without that ennoblement, enablement, and encouragement that you can give them. So this is what it means to unleash potential, yours and the potential of others. When you do this, you're going to be putting people first. People are what will build your organization. People are what will drive your profits and help you to have the programs, the processes, the procedures, whatever else you're paying attention to in the day-to-day. Long term, what you really want is people who are able to do all of that and more. So focus on the and more, because that is what will help you and your organization and all of those people that you're serving. That's what will help them to grow.